I hate to ruin your beloved childhood anecdotes, so if you would rather not taint the memories of Wonderland you recall from the days of being young, then I suggest that you don't listen to this. I wish it weren't so, but unfortunately this story is the entirely unaltered truth. My mother always possessed a very special reserved spot in her heart for The Wizard of Oz. I decided it would be best to purchase her the tape for as a birthday gift. She would swiftly endeavored her later years and could use a reboot of her childhood. I persuaded the internet, but I couldn't find a valuable gift for her. Sure, discovering a tape of The Wizard of Oz was no difficult feat, but I wanted a special edition for her. Eventually, after doing research, I noticed a guy posting comments on the videos of The Wizard of Oz offering what he said was a quote-unquote a great deal special edition of The Wizard of Oz, only $50. I found his attempt at English rather humorous, but looked it over and sent him a message. Nearly right away, as if it were an automated text, I received a reply. "So, you're interested, I see. Go to PayPal and send money there. You are now about to make a great adventure." I thought that was a bit odd, but I overlooked it due to a struggle with English. After paying him over PayPal, I felt somewhat worried as to whether or not he would follow through. I explained I should receive it within a week. After waiting a week, I collected my package. It was smothered in a cheap, thin, brown paper box. I tore and dug through the wrapping to reach the package. Written on it were the ordinary return address and a short message saying, "Enjoy." I was pleased after tearing through the paper to discover a VHS of The Wizard of Oz. On the cover of it was written in bold black ink stating "Uncut." I was content to see my mother would soon bear a special version of her favorite film. I decided it would be best to look through the tape to see what exactly I was giving my mom for her birthday. Once sliding the tape into the VCR and tampering with it to get the old dusty device to work, the tape began. From the very intro of the film, things seemed a little bit different. The title that filmed the screen didn't read The Wizard of Oz. Instead, all it read was "Uncut," in pale white bland text surrounded by a pitch-dark black backdrop. There was no music or audio at this point, and it seemed to stay on the title screen for nearly a minute. The video then hastily cut to a clip. The tape was definitely from the movie, as it showed Dorothy roaming the vast plains of Kansas. But something was different. The camera angle was completely altered. It appeared to be a new angle that I had never viewed before. Instead of continuously running, the clip then cut to a scene where she spoke with Gilda the Good Witch. The angle in which it was filmed was once again off. The other noticeable aspect of this angle was that whoever was filming it didn't belong where they were. They moved almost as if they were hiding. I also found it quite difficult to hear the dialogue between Dorothy and Glinda, as most of it was suffocated by a violent and deep breathing, seeming to be emanated from whoever was holding the camera. The next clip cut to the backstage. However, nobody was in the area. It just appeared entirely vacant, as if they all had the day off. There looked to be a placid of a face paint, and whoever held the camera was spreading some substance in the face paint, almost mixing it, I guess. The next clip was somewhat disturbing. It showed a memorable scene where Dorothy was angry at the lion and hit him for doing something wrong. However, like any blooper reel, she began laughing uncontrollably, and the actors found it hard to stop. From this point, the director, Victor Fleming, hastily walked up to her on set, brushed his hands behind his waist, and with an open palm slapped her in the face. At this time, Judy Garrett, the girl who played Dorothy, who was only a child, and Fleming, a well-aged man, had slapped her in the face. I found this quite disturbing, and my stomach seemed to quickly betray my feeling of consent. The next clip was once again an obscure angle, but what this film had was eerily disheartening. Buddy Epson was the original person cast for the Tin Men. Apparently he had personal issues stopping him to performing his role. However, the newfound footage would suggest otherwise. The paint that I'd see on the person messing with before was being applied to his skin. Shortly after, he began to struggle for breath. Gasping for each breath echoing from his mouth was a rasping sound. Looking at his fully dilated eyes, I could see his flight for life thing kinda come up. Medics quickly rushed to the stage to help him, and the camera once again cut to a new scene. It looked like now whoever the person was filming was now working the theater tech area. It appeared that there were controls for the lights, and they turned the dials up. I remember reading before that the actors had suffered heat exposure throughout the film. I felt an unsettling feeling when I had watched these clips. I knew that whoever was taping this was trying to kill these performers. The next scene was quite unnerving, as it showed Margaret Hamilton, the woman who played the Wicked Witch, and the scene where she disappeared into smoke. To make it clear, she was only vanishing in this clip. She wasn't supposed to be melting or dying, as she quote-unquote disappeared through the movie. She quickly began yelling and screaming, "It burns! Help me! Help me! I'm burning!" It was clear the smoke vapor contained chemicals to cause her to burn. She tumbled to the ground, and as the smoke cleared, she was covered in third-degree burns. Her skin looked entirely singed as tears rolled down her eyes. The man filming moved the camera as if he expected this to happen. The last clip of the montage of eerie videos was by far the most revolting. It was vile and sickening. In the original film, there were several of the little creatures called Munchkins that ran freely. However, this showed a new angle that almost looked behind the set. In the distance, the sound of Dorothy singing with the Tin Man and Lion crept in. The Munchkin turned to the camera, begging and crying, "Please, please don't do this to me!" Tears streaming from his face and filled with fear. The poor man had a noose tangled around his neck, and he stood on a ledge. Whoever filmed him pushed the man off the ledge and let gravity do the rest. Instantly, his neck snapped and his body dangled like a rag doll. It switched back and forth in the backdrop of the scene. I was filled with discontent. The film had just ended right after that. I decided to do research on this uncut tape, and I discovered that there was supposedly one audience member that had ever viewed this version of the film, and that they hastily made changes following it. Reading deeper into the facts surrounding the film, that I discovered the unsettling truth that years later, Clara Blandick, the actress of Aunt M, had committed suicide. At the start of the note, she wrote, "I'm about to make a great adventure." I remember being shocked that it sounded familiar, the same exact phrase that had been spoken by the man who had sold me the tape. I felt disturbed at this moment and decided to view her entire note. She mentioned that there was some use of indescribable pain. I then also learned that Judy Garland, Dorothy, had accidentally overdosed on drugs years later. This is highly speculated, however. I turned the VHS back on to check if I had missed anything. I then noticed I never let it stop playing, and it only turned off the TV. The film was yet to be over. It had just cut to black for a brief moment. The camera now panned into a dark room. It was hard to make out what exactly it was. Then it shifted and showed, just barely tainted with light, the dead body of Judy Garland. I felt rather discomforted and turned off the film. I went back to my research after that. I soon found that there was speculation of the hanging Munchkin. In one of the scenes, the hanging Munchkin is actually visible. All the facts present matched up with the twisted version of the film. I then decided that whatever sick, horrid person had made this honestly should have been put to jail. I turned the tape into the cops and gave them the return address. I asked them to keep me updated on the case, but they said they hadn't found anything. It was unfortunate that they had never given me the footage back, as it is still in their possession. My belief is that they were paid off by whoever did these sick things. However, I have tried my best to get the information out. Look it up for yourself. Everything that happened was true. I found it so disturbing that it has consumed my life. So if you ever find the footage, I highly recommend you do not watch it. It will ultimately ruin your life. It expels all happiness and content with your life. I can't stand this sickness anymore. It's eating me up. I'm about to make a great adventure.